I recently tried out this new product, and if you're a bearded guy like me, you're really going to want to listen to this. It's from a Swedish company called Odinson. Their main product is this thing called the Beard Forger. It actually looks like a futuristic beard comb with a built in battery and heat. All you do is power it up and run it through your beard a couple of times, and you'll see your beard form become straighter with fewer flyaway hairs and ends up looking really sharp. I used to struggle with having a messy beard every morning, but with this tool, I can easily fix it in under 2 minutes and have results that last all day long. It's been a real game changer for me, so I reached out to Odinson and asked if I could have a promo code that I could share with my friends and listeners. I'm happy to say that they thought it was a good idea, and now with code Deluxe35, you can get 35% off of your entire order when you go to odinson.com. That's ODENSON.com. So if you're ready to step up your beard game, make sure you check it out. And if you do decide to buy it, make sure you use code Deluxe35 at checkout to save 35% off of your entire order.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Deluxe Edition. I am your host, Casey Shearer. Joining me, as always, the greatest of all time, L. Ray Sexton.
What's going on, Casey?
Not too much, buddy. We were thrown a curveball today and had a very last-minute interview. Tell everyone who we talked to today, Ray.
We talked to the incredible Michael Berryman, who you may know from his many, many movies, but I was fortunate enough when I was 5 years old to see him at the drive-in in The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh my God. You saw that at the drive-in when you were 5?
That was my first drive-in movie.
That explains so much.
Yeah, it does.
Amazing. A great interview. Just to let everyone know, I haven't edited the episode yet. There were some glitches in Michael's internet coming from parts unknown. So hopefully in the editing, I will be able to take care of all that. But before we get into the interview, let me just tell you about a few things. We are brought to you by the Deluxe Edition Network. You can find all the other great shows on our network over at deluxeeditionnetwork.com, and podcasts like HILF, History I'd Like to Fuck with Dawn Brody, and Barrel Aged Flicks with our good friends Ron, Ragnar, Stu, Chase. Check them all out. They're the podcasts of the month over at The Den, deluxeeditionnetwork.com. If you would like to support our show, you can go over to patreon.com/deluxeeditionpod and get some great perks over there. I will send you the show immediately after it is recorded without any editing. If you'd like to see the flaws and would like to see what Ray and I talked about before and after the show, go sign up over there. And if you like this interview with Michael, go check out all of our other shows over at deluxeedition.show. Or go buy a t-shirt over at whatamaneuver.net/collections/deluxe-edition. And Ray, would you like to tell everyone the news about You.
Yes, sir. Moving forward, there will no longer be a 10-cent beer night podcast. It's still on Spotify. You can still go listen to the episodes. I'm not taking them down, but moving forward, there will be no new ones. My main goal now is to help make Deluxe Edition the best it can be. And if you follow us on Instagram, you'll notice that all of my content that was being posted on 10 Cent is now being posted there. So
Yes.
You'll see a much heavier social presence from us now.
Yes, and you can find Ray over at Deluxe Edition Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And we are not going to let the 10-cent beer night podcast die, though. I have to let everyone know there's going to be like probably a monthly or bi-monthly 10-cent where Ray is the host of Deluxe Edition. We cannot let it die. It's too good.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works out.
That's it. And here is our chat with Michael Berryman. We are here to promote your new book, It's All Good, a Michael Berryman memoir. It's a great book, man. I read it in the last couple days. But one of the things I really like about it is that, there it is that you're not only just telling stories about your life, but you're also giving little life lessons as well, which is, I really like that about it.
Thank you. You get crumbs of wisdom over the years, and eventually you can assemble a cookie.
So you self-published this book, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Was that a difficult process to do?
No, I had some family and friends that helped me walk through it, and I had already written it all, so it's just put a question of submitting it to Barnes & Noble and Amazon and Kindle for now. I want to try to do an audio version in the next 2 months. Nice.
Oh, very cool. Very nice. Yeah, I was looking for it on your website. I was hoping that I could possibly get an autographed copy. Maybe one day down the line that could happen.
Yeah, there'll be a way to make that happen. It's in the immediate future. It'll probably happen at a convention. You never know.
Great. One line that stuck out to me in the book was avoid anyone who tries to bring you down and carve your own path. I read that because I've done that throughout my life. Get rid of the excess baggage.
I think that's true for everybody. Sometimes we round, it's like you round the bases and you hit the home plate, and now you're sitting on the bench, you're relaxing, and you're reflecting, and you go, oh wow, okay, that went pretty well. But you know what? Deep down inside, you get to be with you because you are you, and then it's like being in a pool. You float down at the bottom, and then collect yourself, and then you rise up and keep on trucking. I don't know what else to do.
That's all you can do, right? So you were born and raised in California. Your father was a neurologist who not only was a pioneer in his field, but examined the bodies of JFK, RFK, and Marilyn Monroe after they died. I mean, so
that's true. Yes.
Yeah, that's just the start of the book. How did he get involved? Like, why was he picked to examine their bodies?
That's a fair question. My father, John Sloan Berryman is his name. He was a lieutenant in the Marines, and then we took him. He was a surgeon. Took him to a little place. It's an island, and then there were two explosions, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He went to ground zero. I got pictures, the shadows on walls and elsewhere. Anyway, he came home basically radiated, was born with premature and a whole bunch of birth defects. So there was a connection to chromosomal deterioration from the get-go. But that's basically how things started,
Yeah, this isn't something that you touch on in the book. Now, did your father deal with any issues due to the radiation?
Nothing in particular, but a few years after he had been doing some residency at Los Angeles Wisconsin, where I met my mother. He was working long hours and he got fatigued and contracted polio. And there was some times when he was in an iron lung for quite a while, and it looked like that would be the end of the line. And then, he recovered and continued on. But he was a very renowned neurologist in the area. And yes, I did open the front door to my house in Santa Monica. And on 3 occasions, there was very professional, polite gentlemen in black suits and a black Lincoln parked out on the curb. And my dad kissed my mom on 3 occasions, and they drove away, and he came home later and he told me all about it before he died.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible, man. Like, that's just to let everybody know, that's just one of the incredible stories throughout this book. Here's another one. I just touched on parts of the book because I mean we do want people to go and read the book. You know, you went to school with Red Skeleton's kids.
With whose?
Red Skeletons?
Yes, that's true. Yes, I did. St. Martin of Tours Grammar School. The Red Skeleton family, we were friends with them, just like I described. And yeah, Richard was in my class, and he had I think older sister. But that's true. The Hiltons and the Loffers also went to that school. Yeah.
Oh man. To let everyone know, when you were a kid, you had no ambition of being an actor at all, right? Like
that would be a correct assumption. That's true. Yes. At the time I got discovered, my mindset was I like the forest. I think homesteading in Alaska, well, there's, get the best properties now because everybody's going there. Or something akin to that, and I got sidetracked after helping rebuild Mark's log home in Washington. Something happened.
Yeah, I have that in my notes too because I've been a roofer for the last like 25 years. So
okay.
To read about you building a cabin up in Washington State and then putting on the cedar shake shingles, I know all about it.
The ridge caps were precious. We kept working on the roof. We were in our mid-20s. Life is great. There's Puget Sound. Air is clean and 2-story log home, and you're getting close to the ridge caps. And we went to this farm where this guy actually took the mallet and the cutting bar and made his own shingles right there. See, I mean, they were beautiful, salmon pink, and the last ones you get to put on are the ridge caps, and ta-da! Yep. We thought that was pretty groovy.
Yeah. So I want to go back to your childhood here for just a minute. There was an incident that I don't want to get into too much detail about with a priest. Have you ever thought back, like, if that incident wouldn't have happened with the priest, do you think that that might have been a path that you would have taken to go into the priesthood?
Oh no. That was always my I'd say my mother's maternal instinct, so to speak. And they'll take care of them, which I understand, being a parent, etc. Special needs or however it came about. And I wound up, taking my own path, and that's what happened. Yeah, but when you're still living under their roof, and to a certain degree, you compliant to a point, and then you go, this ain't right. I was going to say something else, but it's not funny. Learned a lot, saw a lot, depicted a lot in that part of the book. I think the chapter is called Betrayed or Betrayal, I believe. But life goes on. But one of the other things I really appreciate about the writing endeavor on my side was wonderful memories. I mean, Santa Monica, a dog town, for crying out loud, Venice Beach. There was no homeless. You could go to the beach or to the pier. It was a POP pier, Santa Monica Pier, and I believe there was a third one. And you could literally sleep under the pier, and then when the waves start for surfing, you're already there at the beach and it's safe. It was a different time, and I like to think that rings through as far as the texture of the period, the time period. That was my one of my biggest artistic disciplines in writing this book, was to be true to that time and place, because it brings the reader, it puts you in that comfortable place, like that chair in your head looking through the eyes. I mean, I'm very descriptive, but it creates atmosphere. And even as an actor learning for 40 years, I learn all the time new things. Atmosphere is something to consider. It helps convey the concept, and then you can sit down and go, I'm in agreement with you. It's a shared experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could remember everything from my time on Earth, as well as that you have with the things that you wrote about. One of those memories, sneaking out of class and going to the Troubadour,
Yes.
going to see Joni Mitchell, and speaking with Joni Mitchell. Man, I actually got goosebumps reading that part of the book.
Too, and I was there.
I'm a huge Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan fan, all that stuff. So were you seeing Bob Dylan like when he was acoustic before he went electric too?
That is correct. I think I wrote it in my book. If not, it'll be in the subsequent book. This is about the kid's life, this memoir, up to the point where you know how it reads. It's beautiful. But yes, in the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium, my Marine brother-in-law told me I had to wear a tie and a jacket, and we were going to the Santa Monica Civic to see Bob Dylan. And I go, okay, George. So we did that. I was going to wear an ascot, if anything else, something cool. But, okay, off we go. First half of the set, we look at each other, we go, these ties are really lame, man. So now we're relaxed, and there's Bob Dylan acoustic doing everything that we grew up on, Bob Dylan song-wise. And I go, wow, this is really cool. And I want to say 1964 or 5, somewhere, that was the era. Well, he took a break. And then he came back out with an electric guitar and a bigger band, and he was wearing this white jumpsuit, and he was very bright. It was very electric for the first time. I think it was a white Fender he started with, and he started to play electric, and the audience didn't know what to think of it, because he was, God, folk. Bob Dylan, and we booed him. Well, I mean, the audience was not receptive for 2 songs, and I'm watching the look on his face. Okay, and then the 3rd song he did, All Along the Watchtower, electrified, blew the roof off the place, and then it was great from then on. And then later in my life, about 25, 30 years later, I'm at Bob Dylan's house in Malibu for 2 years. I was one of his guards, for crying out loud. My brother's dog had puppies underneath the guard shack. The dog's name was Hero. The Hero puppy grew up and lived and died and chased a cougar out of the backyard, and I had a Malibu life. There's a lot to be appreciative in your own life, because everybody, and your own stories. You have stories, and certain memories are worth just like a TV channel. For instance, Lloyd Bridges, watching Sea Hunt got me involved in scuba diving, which I really enjoyed very much, and love it, and body surfing, etc. And those memories, like when I think I talk about it when I'm living in my car on the street. I would go body surfing and sometimes scuba diving from the beach, and then we would surf with sea otters as we were coming into shore. That's kind of fun. Kind of makes your whole day different. But a day like that, every once in a while, it's a good thing. It's a better fix.
So was the band that came out with Dylan for the second set, was it the band?
No, it was not the band. I do believe I'm correct in remembering that it was Clyde King and the gospel singers were with him on that. It's been so long ago, I don't have the, brochure you get when you go to a concert, but it was amazing. And then years later, my first conversation with Bob is when he got back from tour. He's coming home, and I'm going to meet the guy, and my German Shepherd Nishka walks up to him and does a little woof, like, "Hey, who's this guy?" And I tell her, I go, she's a German Shepherd wolf. And I go, "Nishka, it's cool. That's the boss." "Oh, happy. Anyway, we get introduced. And while Bob is talking to me, because I worked graveyard, came out about 8 o'clock in the morning. And I go, "Listen to the radio." It was playing a Bob Dylan song. So I said to Bob Dylan, when I first meet him at his home as one of his guards, I go, "Hey, this and that happened last night. Everything's cool and groovy. But on the radio, this kid, he writes really, really great lyrics. But do you think he could have a career with a voice like that?" And Bob Dylan just turned around and started walking slowly, bent over, looked over her shoulder, and did a couple belly laughs, and just pointed at me with a finger and goes, "Maybe," and walked away. And it was great. And then later I told him I was at the Civic when we booed him, and then he did All Along the Watchtower, and he said, "Well, you were there?" And I go, "Yeah." There was a few moments where I could see the purity of your art. It's a very arty-farty conversation, but there is a spark of brilliance that is called, creative thought. And that's the zone he was in. He was in that telephone booth, 99%, 1% of the rest of the world is outside when you're in that creative space. And it really shows. That's why I like live performance is better than, studio and taping, and now that's perfect. Because it's more real. Tactile is better, and just to go off on a small tangent, storytelling is critical. If you looked at Logan's Run, the movie, the original, and compare it to where we are today, I just think that people that write stories are trying to tell people something.
Absolutely, man.
So you were in the Motley Crue video for Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Yep.
And you just said you prefer, a good performance. How do you feel about Motley Crue and their whole lawsuit over the backing track situation right now, where Mick's accusing Nicky, the bass player, of having all his tracks pre-recorded live?
I haven't talked to them in a while, and I think Vince was the last member that I had a face-to-face conversation with. That was at a little restaurant bar in Vegas, but I'm unaware of that conversation or that riff. All I know from them is that, and we have always had good times together professionally, working, doing the videos, and bumping into a friend once in a while as you travel. And when you spend as much time at airports as we do, it's like, where is home?
I know all about it, man.
Well, it reminds me of that little moment, like when Michael J. Fox is in Doc Hollywood, and he made the phone call. He got the orchestra violin music coming up, and it's just down the road, and he would call when he was in after he got his car fixed. He's back in California, Beverly Hills, and he's calling to hear the weather on the little town where he got sidetracked. See, those are bridges, I call them, that are conceptually designed to move the story on the emotional content. One of the most important things, I would say, emotional content when you're dealing with conversation and or film or music. But Joni Mitchell was sweet. Going back, I miss David Crosby. I'm sorry. It's time. 81 to Brown Brother. I was coming home from doing the X-Files, and I rented a car, and I'm driving at night. It was a really nice car. And I'm driving at night with phone on Highway 101 from Vancouver all the way home. And FM radio, I'm getting Canadian and radio, and it was Joni Mitchell being interviewed live, and David Crosby got a liver transplant. When he got better and was recovering, Joni says that he emailed her. It's the first time I heard term. He says, yeah, he sent her an email and said, I want to produce a song, write me a song. And this is her on the radio. And she's like, I said, you're very talented, write your own damn songs. So that, my kind of gal. I actually, when I was at the Troubadour, I mean, like I said, she was approachable and just a wonderful experience. Yeah. And Stephen
awesome.
Stills, you lucky bastard. Come on, Laurel Canyon, our house. I mean, those are references to real people, places, and times in their life. You know.
I think there were a lot of lucky people back in Joni's day.
Oh, I mean, there's so many great albums came out of that era, and that actually that location geographically. I mean, it's just the canyons in that part of LA they're blessed to a certain extent. They're way overused. There's way too many people, but that spot has some magic to it. That's why people, rent a mansion for a while they're doing an album or something. The money's not the question. It's in order to be here, you have to be this tall to get on the ride. It's life, man. It sucks. What, I have to be an adult? I don't want to be an adult all the time. So.
Well, speaking of you getting a little older here, moving along in the book, you did go on to college, and then after you moved back home, this part really like stuck with me. You moved back home, and your mom wouldn't give you a key to the house. You had to either sleep in your van or in a tent out back.
That's correct.
Did you ever talk to her later in life about this? Like why she did that to you?
Not after my father passed, and she eventually sold the property. There were I think, well, I believe she was bipolar. That doesn't matter. But as far as the decisions was, that was just also no. The closest that she came to articulating a reason was the fact that the house was going to be sold and renovated, but that took like 4 years. So hey, it is what it is. Sometimes a motivation comes from familiar places, or from left field. You never know. You just have to make a decision at that intersection between, oh, I'm doing this. Well, okay, they just gummed up the works. No, carry on. You have to carry on. So it became laughable. Like in my book, I talk about how my brothers and I, we would sometimes I would crawl up the tree and we'd go inside and smoke a doobie, watch some cartoons, have a beer or whatever. Everybody's life is different. As far as not having a residence at the time, I'm fond of the description and the mood that I placed you in Venice Beach when I meet George Powell, but I'm spending some of the nights at that cottage, which was the plant shop across the street from the Gallimaufry, very super high-end antique store. But again, like I said, it's the location. It's not that it soon became Beverly Hills of the beach. No, that location, if you look back, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, photographs, it's more natural, sure, yes. But there's an attraction, there's an energy that's right. And you can never really take that away. So it was a really good time. But I like the country now these days. I like not to see my neighbor. But
you're up in Michigan now, right?
Could be.
All right, so let's see. In the book, you talk about actually floating above your body twice, having out-of-body experiences twice, and you could actually hear a voice speaking to you to come to the other side twice.
That's correct. Once when I had the heat stroke event and almost died, and I called my father, and the other time when trying to buy the truck and having gasoline beside my shirt was something worth burning. Those are some unique experiences. But it was the same voice, and it was the same encapsulation, so to speak. It's just it could happen to you.
Yeah, man.
But it did happen.
It's like I said, man, it's an amazing book. I want everyone to read this thing. You mentioned George Pal. Let's talk about that. Hollywood. I've heard this over and over from several people. It's sometimes just being in the right place at the right time, right?
Well, that is exactly correct. You can always try to deduce that what had happened prior, got you some brownie points, and then everything clicked, synchronous, whatever. Call it what you want. Bottom line is, yes. And if you get a chance, go with it and do the best job you can. And it offered, oh well, I can feed myself, put a roof over my head, get some new wheels. That sounds pretty cool. Then what happens? Well, your next job is 4 months in Oregon at a mental institution. Okay, great. I'm down with that.
Yeah, an amazing career, man. 159 credits later, here we are.
That's correct.
Amazing, man. So we do have a couple fan questions, and then we have a new segment called Real Questions. I know you don't have too much time.
We're still kicking. Let's see. What do you got?
Let's do the fan questions here quick.
Sure.
Ron from Barrel Aged Flicks. What was it like working with John Hughes on Weird Science?
John Hughes had his finger on the pulse of youth, that age, those issues and scenarios. It's like he does that so well. He'll just poke a hole in the sidewall of time and to put you in like a time machine, and it fits. You go, wow, this is what I expect in this neighborhood. Like the house, Wyatt, the parents, everything. The casting was great. The art direction was incredible. So it really comes down to his vision, and he was very, very calm to work with, and was gracious, because every so often he felt it was right or a good thing to do. He would offer the actress, okay, this is your version of this. Giving you one. That's what they call it, and he just had a way of pulling the performance out of people, and of course, the young cast there, they were just starting out, and they were all fantastic. I enjoyed every day on the set.
Awesome, man. All right. Matt Lindsay from Quad Pro Quo would like to know, was the chicken fucking scene in Devil's Rejects ad-libbed or scripted?
Well, that's exactly how it played out. As far as ad-lib, yes, the pot-bellied chicken seller guy, he chose to his own dialogue, and he was happy that look. I've been around the block. He was I thought he did a great job, but on the first take, he went off script a little bit, which is fine. And then it kind of got a little long-winded. And then when you watch that scene, there's a phase which I thought was good. Then we should have done something else. And he continues, and you can see the wheels turn in his head when he starts upping the ante, so to speak, of the chicken behavior. So anyone to whom that would be, applied to, is not going to go, oh, yes, those are great words. Thank you so much. No, so I went with it, of course. He offered me some emotional, negative, something to chew on, and then I gave it right back with the bringing it up a notch. And then also TC, my good brother Ken Foree, he's in the scene, so that brings him in to work with me to deal with that. And see, that is some of the things, a magic of filmmaking, the storytelling, and you get the visual too. I mean, visual and conceptual, and it just draws people in. So that's the magic of a good director and a good cast, and let everything flow freely, because then you get it's called magic.
Absolutely, man. I love that movie.
It's
one of my favorite horror movies, man. So one last fan question here. Dara Gaffney from the Graveyard Club podcast. If they were to do, if they were to do a Hills Have Eyes 3 or make another remake, would you be interested?
Oh yes, I would definitely be interested, and so would Janice. And we keep in touch, and maybe even Suze. I'm not sure. Suze could play the psychiatrist. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Awesome.
Especially if we had some control over content, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, but it could. I could fly with that. We could have fun.
Awesome, man. Michael, thank you so much, man. This has been great. We have very quick little questions here we call real questions. They're just you have 30 seconds to a minute to answer the question, and then we put it on our shorts, and it's
Okay.
for social media purposes.
Okay.
Ray, do you have one?
I do. So, sir, I would like to know, what is your all-time favorite Twilight Zone episode?
Oh man, I have the whole set. There was the one about a plane, the flight, and then there was a number, and they kept going back in time, and then they got back up into a trough of black hole or whatever, and they kept going in and out of time. Is one of my favorite. And then the other one, of course, would be the henpecked husband that worked at the bank, and the bomb goes off, and he finds the library and everything, and he breaks his glasses. Those are two of my favorite. I mean, they're all my favorites.
Awesome. And then I just have one last real question for you. Indica or sativa?
Well, it depends on, are you hungry or do you want to relax?
Thank you so much, man. Please tell everyone where they can find you, websites, Facebooks, Instagrams, all that.
Barnes & Noble, audio version soon, Kindle version soon, and tell all your friends, I need your help. Thank you very much.
We will definitely be plugging this, man. I really enjoyed this book. Thank you, Michael. We really appreciate it.
All right, now go watch cartoons and have a cookie and a glass of milk.
Will do, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Our podcast only exists because of listeners like you. To find other great shows, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com.